Welcome to this episode of the Voices for Voices TV show and podcast. I'm your host, founder, and executive director of Voices for Voices, Justin Allen Hayes. Thank you for joining us on this episode, as well as our over 220 episodes in our catalog. We couldn't do this without the love and support that you've given us. So, whether this is your first episode or you've been with us from the beginning, thank you. If you can go ahead and subscribe, like, share, let your friends, family, loved ones know about this movement that we have, the Voices for Voices movement, aiming to help 3 billion people over the course of my lifetime and beyond. What sometimes happens, and we have really uncovered a lot of information, and this episode is just like that. And mental health, for sure, trauma, for sure, uh, rears its ugly heads when it comes to the all the topics, all the shows we have, whether we overtly say mental health trauma, or whether it is an understood topic. This topic is like a I'm saying it's like a sore thumb. It really, every time we kind of turn around or find a new information, it really just doesn't make sense, and we're very appalled. We are concerned, worried for families with uh, children, especially those that are homeschooled. Uh, that there's just a lot of bad actors out there, not and a lot of bad people, a lot of bad characters that are out, and they're battling you for your children and our children, and that's unacceptable. So the topic we're really going to delve into this episode is one around a uh, a group, a movement that was started around Christian fantasy writing. Uh, you know, Individuals, writers, authors bouncing ideas on, collaborating, and it was started around the Christian fantasy. Call it the topic. We'll call it, and what we're finding, literally second by second, is this particular organization that uh, they have these conventions, they have these conferences, and the uh, the topics keep getting darker and darker, keep getting further and further away from God, from Jesus, Christian fantasy, and really, as we're going to find with our guests, that really a total 180, the just disbelief of what was just uncovered. I'll leave the intro at that, and joining us, say one of our house guests that we have, but it's because it's so important, and we aim to help everybody, and we especially aim to help children, to help parents through navigating sometimes murky waters. And I believe that's what's going on now a little bit. So, David Solomon, thank you again for joining us on the show.
Always a blessing to be here. Um, I'm just going to dive right into it. It's early morning, and you know, uh, I just got hit with this information, and I wasn't going to do this show, and I can't just stand silent and not tell the information that was just provided to me, just literally. Um, so I'm gonna I'm gonna give a little previously background here. For those who don't know me, my name is David Solomon. I'm a human trafficking survivor, an advocate for others, and also a writer, ghostwriter, producer, and father and husband. It spoke out against a group called Realmakers, who has not taken responsibility to stand up for what is right, because within their own group are people who are messaging kids about cutting porn and sex behind parents' backs who are adults. And those kids are going to be addicted to said subject matter. And the leader, Scott Miner, has chosen to look the other way, kick me off of the group, if you will, of Christian writers, not just me, but several others,
Mhm.
and said, "Well, for sticking up, here's your penance," and damaged my career, but also others. And I wanted to dive into wolves in sheep's clothing. We're going to take it to the word. All right, so Jesus talks about wolves in sheep's clothing for a reason. Case in point, Realm Makers, we're going to play devil's advocate, is a Christian conference for writers. And we're going to look at the red flags on this Christian conference. So dive deep with me. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So there is a special guest of honor, the League of Legends creator. The League of Legends is a game about killing, transgenderism, feminism, homosexuality, not to offend anybody, but we're just stating facts as they are presented here on both Wikipedia and other sources. Okay. Did I mention killing?
Yes.
So that is what this game is about. It is an RPG. It is secular. There's nothing Christian about it. There's nothing, per se bad about it other than, you know, everything I just listed under the sun.
Yeah.
Satan is in it as a good person. So let's talk about that. There are some questionable plots that could mirror human trafficking. So we're going to talk about that too. Okay. This person is a guest of honor listed on the Realm Makers website, that they are going to be the guest of honor, and they're one of them, and they're going to be there with your kids. And this is a Christian conference that has trusted guest speakers to, and I quote the website, give truth and a Christian perspective to the world on storytelling. Red flag one: what in the world does this video game creator have in at all in common with Jesus Christ?
Nothing, as far as I'm concerned.
The answer is nothing. Yeah. So League of Legends is not even close to a Christian game. So red flag one is, why is that creator going to a Christian conference? It'd be one thing if, he was there to just check it out. But no, he's going to be speaking at a Christian conference where he's not Christian and promoting this woke agenda, and we're having him at a Christian conference. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. And
Wow.
and really just to
Just
really hit,
wow.
yeah, to hit on that as well. That you have and we talked about this in the past, you have, kind of um wolves and sheep clothing, you have the bait and switch, you have people, you have
Yeah.
families spending thousands, hundreds of dollars to attend a conference with the understanding that it is going to be centered, and all content is going to be around Christian fantasy. And so these individuals, having gone to many conferences myself, if I showed up to a keynote speaker expecting a particular topic and that speaker turned out to be a 180 degree of that, that would make me very, very, very upset. Now, I've been with companies, and so in that case, as far as paying for it, sometimes I haven't had to pay my own money, but for this is hard-earned money that these families have earned. Uh, I believe a majority, in a positive sense, the money, and so they have many things that they can do with their discretionary income, and to have this particular group, this particular conference happening and showing up and expecting one thing and another, I'd be furious, especially when you're talking about children as well. We all know how malleable their minds are and how
Yeah.
it's like clay, and how the frontal lobe isn't of the brain isn't fully formed until their 20s, and so for this to be happening and kind of like, hey, surprise, I think that is it's not good.
And so we, and that's red flag one.
Yeah.
That's only one red flag.
Yeah, that's only
We got
one.
more
It's
red flags. You know, Brian Davis, we all know. Um, Von Oman, who marries children as young as age 8, they're going to be there. I mean, when does it end? Like Brian Davis contacted someone a while ago saying that all I do is harass him and the people that he surrounds himself with, and that's not true. My comment to that is no, no. I expose people that hurt children, and you have chosen to put yourself with those people. This isn't about vendetta for
mm-mm.
what you did to me. This is about justice for what you do to them. And as an angry parent right now, I am outraged at what I am seeing. You know, people say, um, David Solomon didn't happen, and that's fine and wonderful until there's a point where that doesn't work. And we're at that point, parents, where people go, well, wait a second. And I read it on ChatGPT. David said all this stuff on Voices for Voices and other places, and my family too, and others. Do you know that no one has come out and denied it? You would think there would be an official response from Scott Miner. Hey, this is harassment. Hey, this is untrue. Something. There's not.
Yeah,
And so for us,
the
for
silence
us,
speaks volumes.
so for us creators, for us writers affected by this, and the person doing it doesn't even deny it, shows how true this really hits. What's done in the dark always comes to light, parents. Be aware of that. And Realm Makers is a red flag, not just because of its guests, but if they're letting those guests in, who else are they letting in behind the scenes? Who else is going to be behind the curtain? Who else is going to be allowed to see your children and be with your children? Who else is going to talk to your children? When Brian met me in 2007, I was a minor with my best friend who also goes throat form and was a minor. And we uh, we uh, we were given his card. That's how it starts, parents. is these writers give their card, their private emails, which is okay, send an email to an author, that's cool. But be aware of what that email represents. That email's power. That's the door. And so, it would be one email, and then be two emails, and then be 40 emails, and then be calling, and it, you know. I was a part of a group where there was like what 40 of us selected out of the United States out of all the tours they did, which was thousands. And we were in this little chat room. It's like a black net, and it was something. It was something. And for Scott to throw this and say this is Christian is just appalling as a Christian parent. I'm sorry. I call complete and utter bullcrap. There's nothing Christian about League of Legends. Not one thing. You're letting the devil in. Literally letting the devil in. And if the creator of League of Legends is hearing me right now, then hear me right now. Do not go. As a secular creator, I respect you. I've worked in the field. Look me up. This is not your place. You do not want to be tied to these people. This is not the moment to promote your transgender stuff to a Christian audience and try to display that in an audience that is closed-minded. And on your own site, I want to open minds. This is not the moment to preach to people that you think you're doing the right thing. This is not that moment. That's the wrong moment. And let me be clear, I do not support your message either, but I'm not going to condemn you, and I'm not going to crucify you for wanting to talk to people about it either. Okay? But this is not your moment to go to this conference and promote this and try to cause a stir and try to, to confuse. This is not that moment. Choose another conference, any other conference. Don't choose this one. Okay? This is not that moment. These are people that are going to come that love Jesus with all their heart, that want to serve him, that want to follow his word and not be deceived. And there are wolves in sheep's clothing that are going to be upright center front in their eye and saying, hi, shake my paw, and I'll lead you to the wolf pack and I'll feed on you. And that is the sad truth. They are sheep ready to be slaughtered. And you know what? I'm not afraid to say this. Shame on you, Scott Miner, for letting this happen. It's one thing if you let Brian Davis, who claims to be a Christian, I struggle with that one, not just because of the trafficking that was done to me, but because of all the other victims that I've talked to now. Man, how far have you fallen from grace? That's between you and God, but don't call this a Christian conference. Rename it. There's nothing Christian about this other than the great people that will attend that are not guests, but people that are wanting to meet the guest. Man, I keep in contact with Raumis. We're good friends. We know each other's stories. You think they trust you within a 10-foot pole? No, they don't trust you. In fact, there are a lot of them that won't even come to the conference because they don't trust you within a 10-foot pole. But I love on them. I show them grace. There are some that don't believe what happened to me, but we still talk. And I show them grace and compassion and love. because that's what Jesus would do. Not, oh, you called me a liar, how dare you? No, it's, well, that's okay. Here's the facts, but I don't want our friendship to be about that. I want us to come together as Christians and unite and create together. And that's what it's about, setting our differences. What makes us different from secular creators is that we are anointed with the word of God in our hands, in our minds, in our mouth that we speak, in our eyes that we see, in our ears that we hear. And anything that comes out better not be secular, because when we are called to be anointed and Christian authors, we have a responsibility, dignity, and honor to the gift that God has given us, to use that to lead people to Him, not lead people to us, not lead people astray, not lead people to another path, lead them to the one path. That is what Christian writing is about. It is about presenting our point of view to a world that doesn't know. I told a missionary this once. Are you on vacation because you're in Africa and you're saying that there's a witch doctor that came to you and he wants to know God? Are you on vacation? Well, no, I can't let the witch doctor in. Well, why? Because he serves Satan, but so did you. Oh, no, I never served Satan. Oh, so you were never a sinner? Well, yeah, we're all sinners. Oh, okay. Okay. So serving Satan is not a sin. No, of course it's a sin, right? So then why is he different than you? Well, because I'm saved. Oh, okay. Okay. So you're better than him. Well, I'm saved, right? But you're a missionary. Well, yeah. What is your job exactly? Well, we're missionarying on a foreign field, and we're telling everybody about Jesus that are sinners so they can get saved, right? So the witch doctor is excluded from that because his sin is greater than everybody else's. Or are you uncomfortable with the fact that he worships the devil? But didn't you worship the devil because you were enslaved by sin? And sin is what he creates. He created sin, basically. And they said, well, I'm afraid of him. Oh, so you're a missionary and you're afraid of a witch doctor who's going to cast a spell, yet Jesus says that he rebukes curses. Where are we today? Are you on your margarita? Did you forget your armor of God? Where are we going? Well, I don't need armor. You don't need armor? Oh, okay. Okay. Are you having tequila? No, I don't drink. Oh, okay. Are you on a cruise? No, of course not. Okay. Well, then you better get your armor on because you're on a battlefield and you're getting attacked by the enemy and you're falling right into his depths. So, no respect. But that witch doctor is as much a sinner as the person over there is a prostitute, as the person over there is gay, as the person over there that is smoking that cigar. And for you to say that they are lesser than you is calling God a liar. That witch doctor became a pastor. Amen.
Mm-hmm.
I bring it real.
Okay.
I'm known to preach when I need to. And it irks my spirit when people say they're doing God's work and blasting lies. So, you know, you can't serve two devils, or excuse me, two gods, the devil and Jesus. You can't do that. You cannot do that. And so for Scott Miner to have the League of Legends and Brian Davis and Von Oman, and these are known people that have controversy, and we're just putting them out there that they're awesome. What are we doing? What are we doing as parents? What are we doing as Christian authors? We're called to tell stories to inspire, and we're doing the opposite. You know, all I see right now, I see two things going on. I see the legacy of C.S. Lewis going strong, and then I see people that want to copy that because they want the fame. There are those that have been called to be the next C.S. Lewis, and there are those that have been called not to be, but they want the fame, so they envy it with jealousy. Those are the two groups I see: the wannabes and the real writers. I'm not putting myself on a pedestal. I'm not putting others on a pedestal. I've done the work. Others have done the work. For inspiring writers, go for it. Do it. Do what God tells you to do. But don't become a Christian writer for the wrong reasons. Do it because of faith. Do it because you want to tell a story that changed your life and want to impact the world. Don't do it because of selfish reasons. That's what sets us apart from a secular author, is that we know good versus bad. We can say that that person has so much bad in them, but also in Christian fiction there is redemption, and that's big. You know, Disney has this big thing on villains. I noticed they highlight the villains, they don't highlight the good people.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think that is?
I mean, I see it happen in my own life, and uh, I think partially it's just money. It's just a new group. Like you know, they're they don't want to create new good characters, so they just go with, oh well, let's just make them bad, and then
Right.
it's across the board with the
Or
descendants and then all those.
it's justifying that the good
Yeah.
guys are the bad guys now.
Right. And that's happening in real time. Like that's,
Yeah.
I mean, we're all fighting it with children and like, what is going on? Like, what was wrong with the original?
So it's like, as Christian creators, we're called to be different
Yeah.
and not be the same. And it's appalling that this is going on.
Yeah, they're just taking advantage of people as, I mean, at the highest level, that's what's happened. That's somebody taking advantage of another person for uh, power, sex, money, all that, and that is also what they call a cult. And so it's very interesting as
Yeah,
we know that that seems to be the three key pillars of realm and realm makers, and it all comes back to that.
it does. And it's sad.
Sure is. And I think as we close this episode out, we also don't want to let off the hook the cities, the hotels, the convention centers, uh, any of those for allowing this type of activity to happen on their grounds. We call it, uh, if there's people that are terrorists, we want to freeze their funds, their money. We want to find them and bring them to justice. Uh, and because they're obviously they're doing bad things, and their money is fueling those bad things. And so we know, and I'm guessing a lot of the world knows, they just don't want to believe it about these characters, that we're talking about, uh, that they're whatever money they're making from books, from conferences, conventions, what have you, one-on-one sessions. They're using it for nefarious reasons, and so for the hotel in Chicago, the hotel in Grand Rapids, the convention center in Columbus, Ohio, uh, all over the place. We understand that being in business, we want to make money, right? That's how we pay the bills, and that's how we survive. Uh, and that's one way to look at things. But knowing that there is so much negativity, polarization, that should be taken into account too. What happened to morals? What happened to ethics? If we're just going to let anyone anywhere to come to our conference, our convention center, our hotel, because we just want we want the money, we want increased sales, whatever those reasons are, uh, that's that's doing the devil's work too. Uh, we need to all think about this, not just the families, the children, authorities, law enforcement, uh, people in power. We have individuals like Brian Davis are meeting with the governor of Ohio, Mike DeWine. I find that absolutely appalling uh, as a voter of the state of Ohio to have a person as obviously trafficked, um, our guest Dave Solomon, but there's so much controversy around that, and for him to have that opportunity to meet with somebody in power like the governor, uh, I find that appalling, and uh, I we put out content, to you, Mike DeWine. I supported your reelection campaign, voted for you, and to have a meeting with somebody who's not a resident of the state of Ohio, you didn't do your due diligence, your security didn't do their due diligence. Uh, find that very, very upsetting, and not only with these conferences, and David can speak a little bit more to this as we wrap up this episode, is people like Brian Davis, uh, they're working to get their books into curriculum in different states. And so my guess is meeting with the governor of Ohio. That's what his goal is, to say, hey, look, and David knows the states are already kind of bought into it. And so that's another area, parents, that you're going to be getting things from all angles. So you're going to come to a conference, think you're getting one thing, but you get another. Then you're going to have to send your kids either if they're going to school or if they're homeschool, what's going to be on that curriculum? Oh, novels by Brian Davis, novels by Von Ullman, and these folks. So maybe in the last couple of minutes, you can talk a little bit about that, David.
Yeah, so you know, Brian wants to, in fact, some of his work is actually in homeschool curriculums, required reading. So, it goes to show you that that's what he's about. He's about trying to get his books out there uh, to be required to read. And it's pushing a, uh, a philosophy that isn't necessarily a good one. His series Raising Dragons is the one required to read. I actually pulling it up. It's in Florida and Texas. But Ohio, I think, is on his, itinerary to do it. I know Virginia already has it. But it's very interesting. Um, his book is about another savior other than Jesus. And this is modern day, um, and it's kind of weird. And his whole premise is dragons are needing a savior because Jesus didn't die for the dragons. And that's kind of fascinating until um, a human dies for the dragons that is part dragon.
Mm.
It's it's kind of twisting theology, even though it's fantasy. So for that to be required reading is just, shall we say, moving in the wrong direction of where we should be at. Brian Davis comes up as one of the number one Christian books to read. And that's concerning too. He has a graphic novel coming out. Again, the other person that trafficked me is the one that did the art, James Artville. Um, and aside from all the trafficking that went on with me, just read the graphic novel for yourself, parents, and tell me that that is biblical. Like, you know, it's fantasy and that's great and wonderful, but there's something very dark when you twist the Bible like that. Like, I'm a speculative writer, several projects in the works with studios, and, you know, we have a little fun, right? But I don't go as far as to say I'm going to have another Jesus. That's kind of where I, you know, don't want to go there. So in Tears of a Dragon, Brian goes there. In fact, that's what the entire book is about. And he also is not shy to shove it in your face that once you become a Christian, you become sinless, so you don't sin anymore. And he's not shy to preach that message. And he'll make you feel bad until you become sinless. In book 2, Candlestone, Billy, who is 14 years old, slits someone's throat. Think about what I just told you.
Mm.
And it's treated as, you know, horrible. And he makes the kid feel so bad that he forces him to get saved.
We got like 10 seconds.
All right. So Candlestone, read that, parents.
But David, thank you so much for your powerful, transparent insight for these topics, and parents and people in power and law enforcement. Uh, you know, do the right thing. We know what that is morally, ethically, and uh, we're trying to help people. That's where it all comes from. So until our next episode, please.